Yeah, that new bandsaw actually looks a lot bigger once you get it in the shop. There's the old Delta that it's replacing, and there's the Laguna right next to it. You can see the table on the new one's about the size of the old one, so I had to go through and start moving things around and making room so I could have room to work on it and access it and stuff on the other side of my shop. And some boxes of turning squares. I had a couple boxes of these I've been saving for years and never used, so they wound up going in the wood stove for heat the last couple days. And I'm just kind of moving everything around, and then I got around to looking the saw over, and the first thing I did is I tried putting the straight edge on the table and stuff, and I realized that it was warped. The whole table was twisted down into one corner, and then and actually you can see there how that's kicked up there so that there's an edge there to catch stuff. And I actually loosened the clamps that hold it down, and the whole table went back to being flat. Pretty amazing there. It really is. The table is really in good shape, but it's actually the trunnions that pull it down. There you can see, the wood slides over it nice if you got them loose, and then the minute you tighten, especially that one on the right hand side there, you get that lip twist down and goes up, and you can actually see there's a gap in there on that one side of the trunnion, and when you tighten it down you can watch the table actually spin down a little bit. So there's definitely something going on here that's not quite right. And yeah, you can see just that one corner twists down like that, and the rest of the table stays pretty good, but it does kick up that slot where the blade goes in and stuff. And looking at it underneath there, you can see there's really no way to adjust anything or do anything with it. You can see that whole trunnion assembly is kind of already skewed sideways on that main frame there. It's picked up on picked up on the left hand side using set screws to level it out and stuff. So I took the table off, and then I got my straight edge out and put it across between there. And it turns out that 3 of the radiuses there, those ground radiuses, are in line that the trunnion sits on. That last one is actually off location from the other 2. It kind of sits lower, and it kind of sits back a little bit more, I think. There you can see it. The other 3 are perfectly in line, but that 4th one for some reason is skewed from it. I didn't actually measure it, how much it was skewed, but there you can see you can easily slide a piece of paper under it. You could probably get 2 pieces under it. And another thing that I did is I threw a indicator on the band wheels. I had seen another video where the fellow bought one of these, and he basically had 2000s run out on the band wheels. So I decided to just double check mine, and this is the bottom one here. You can see, and it's got about almost 19 thousandths run out on it right now. If you watch the indicator moving in one rotation of the wheel, there's one spot that seems to be warped a lot worse than other spots, but there is some run out on that wheel, which we'll talk about later, because actually there's some vibration in the saw. So that bottom wheel, there you can see the indicator, and then we'll go up on the top wheel and put the indicator on. And here you can see there's only about, if they get it zeroed in there, there's only about 12 thousandths of shake in this top wheel. It's not as noticeable on the top one, but there is run out, and they're not perfect like the other video that I saw an indicator in that said that they showed basically that they were running with no side play there, but actually they are a little bit out of round there, I guess. Then I put it up on the table, and when you go back and you loosen and tighten those clamps on the bottom, see how much the indicator moves to the whole table twists depending on which side you tighten. It goes one way and then the other, and you can actually watch the table bow up as you tighten them too. So there's definitely something wrong with that trunnion. I put a call into their tech support yesterday, and the girl I talked to couldn't help me, but she was going to have somebody get back with me, and it's 24 hours later now, and I'm still waiting for a call. So I did contact them on Facebook and stuff, but I'm still waiting. So I don't know, exactly how their customer support is, but I can tell you it's real slow. So then I finally got to the point where I decided to put the blade on it, just to set it up and see how it runs and stuff. So it's really easy. It's a lot easier than the Delta, it seemed like, to get the blade on. Just kind of it's easy to snake in there and twist around, and on the bottom wheel there's like this little plastic block that goes in to block the sawdust once you get it in there too. And there's a really nice lever on it for tensioning the blade. It's real long and nice, and it actually sticks down so you can see it, that you're not tensioned. So I'm putting on a 5/8 Laguna blade that I bought, and I'm tensioning it right between 1/2 and 3/4 because there's no mark for 5/8. So that's really easy to do. Nice big knob there and everything. And then they tell you to check the tracking next. And if you look through that plastic window in the top, you can see the blade on the actual band wheel there. And then there's a little knob on the back that you adjust to adjust the tracking. And all that does is it slightly tips the top, so you can, get your band blade centered on that tire. They basically recommend that you center it on the tire. I'm not sure, which is best, but so what I'm going to do right now is I just got that centered, locked it down, and then just I turned it for a while just to make sure everything, was in the right place and didn't float around or anything. I do have the guide set way back out of the way to start out, so I wouldn't have any problems with hitting them or anything. So once I knew the blade was pretty much stabilized there, I decided to go about adjusting the blade guides. Now, I've never used ceramic guides before, but they say they're real good, and so this is my first time ever adjusting them. And I did read the section in the book kind of how to do it. So basically you start by there's a round back guide, round piece of ceramic on that horizontal post that the other guides sit on. So there it is there. You can just barely see it. You just bring that back so it's just barely touching the back of the blade there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the other block forward. I want to make sure that the ceramic's not too far out that it would actually hit the set in the blade. So you want to just keep that back a ways on the blade away from the set. And then I just trying to get those side guides just kind of pushed in so they're kissing the blade without putting any pressure or moving the blade at the same time, which takes a couple times to play around with them a little bit and try to get them close. So I just kind of moved them close and snugged them up, and then I looked at the location of them compared to the teeth on the blade there, so I just moved them out a little bit further so they're behind the teeth, snugged that one up, and then it was a matter of going back and just using a light touch to bring them together and make sure that you don't twist the blade or move the blade or anything. And in the end, it really seemed to be a lot easier than setting up my old Delta bandsaw with all those cool blocks and rollers and stuff. Then I turned it a couple times to make sure everything was okay, and I did notice that the weld on the blade actually was catching the blocks a little bit. It kind of made a dump, feeling when you went over that, and you could see that the weld actually wasn't ground flat; it was kind of ground scallopy. So I guess I'm not going to worry about that now because I figure it's ceramic block, so they should, hopefully they'll clean that up after a couple trips around under power. But it's really not that bad, just a little. You can feel a little bit of resistance. So then the same thing on the bottom. It is a little tough to get your fingers in there and get at all the knobs and see what you're doing, but I think after doing it this first time, it's more going to be like you can pretty much do it by feel, I think, and you don't really have to see too much. So it took me a couple minutes to get them all set, and it is a tight fit, and it's kind of tough to get at, but you can do it pretty easily. Then with that set up, I had to go back and make sure the table is square to the blade. So it was down a little bit on the outside. So you just have to kind of the bolt that sticks out of the bottom of the table in the middle of it, and it's like a stop for it when it goes down. So I just lifted it up and turned it out a little bit, and turned it out a little bit more until I finally did get it to be perfectly square to the blade. And there's that bolt there. You can see that right in the middle. You just bring that down, and then once it's at the right squareness to the table, you just lock the nut. Then a nice aluminum table insert, and that actually has 4 jack screws on it, so it makes it really easy to level it up, just like an insert on a table saw. I was used to the old plastic inserts on my Delta, which were kind of a pain to get in and out because they just kind of stuck all the time. But this one slides in really easy, and you just level it and then put the screw in the middle. And then I put the fence on. I didn't do any setup or anything, and I noticed that was a little bit out of square with the table. So I found that there's a little set screw in the bottom below the 2 lock nuts there. And you just loosen the aluminum extrusion up a little bit, and you turn the that little set screw out a little bit, and it kind of tilts the fence up, pushes against the bottom of it, and actually takes a little while to get it perfect, but it's it does level it up good. So pretty much you can see it's pretty easy to set this thing up, and if it wasn't for that trunnion being all out of whack like that, I would have been real happy at this point. But I'm still waiting to hear back, like I said, and do a follow-up and see what they're going to do about it. So now it's time. I got everything ready to go, and I decided to just turn it on, and you can hear the thump 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 by the where that weld actually hits the blade guards a little bit, but everything seems, the bottom wheel there, you can see it's wobbling a little bit too, and the machine actually does have a vibration in it, which seems to be I think it's coming from that bottom wheel, but I'm not sure. The top one looks pretty, like it's running pretty smooth when you look at it, so seems like there could be something down in that bottom end of it, but hopefully Laguna will look at this video and tell me what to do about it. So it's a real nice, it's a nice powerful looking saw and everything, and I really like that it has that brake on it, because when you turn the power off, it will continue to run for quite a while without it. So then I just, I haven't done any drift setup on the fence or anything. I just, what you saw is what I did, and I just put the fence over, and I grabbed a piece of 7-inch, a little over 7-inch wide walnut, and just decided to try to resaw like an 1/8 inch off of it, just to see what was going to happen, and how it would work. And I have to tell you, this is pretty amazing. This saw just cut it like butter. It's got plenty of power. Power is right through it. Biggest problem, I don't have any dust collection on it. It's still sitting out on the floor, and I'm still waiting for my mobile stand to come so I can, roll it over and figure out where I want it and hook all the dust system up to it. But basically, it looks like once we get a couple of things straightened out on it, it's going to be a good saw. So now it's kind of, I'm just hoping that Laguna support will get back with me. I guess I'll have to try to call them again, but it just seems like they take their time about it. Hopefully we can get this all straightened out soon, and I'll do another follow-up video when that happens. And I kind of have to tell you that it looks like this plain 5/8 blade is going to work out good for me for the time being, until I can, maybe save a little up and try a Resaw King or something like that. But basically it cut fine. This is only 7 inches of walnut. I'll be putting a lot more to it, but just for the first test with no setup, it cut extremely straight, cut fine, and the finish on it was, a little bit, you can see the blade marks a little bit, and that's just from my feeding it at different speeds, I think, but basically it did a real beautiful job of cutting, so I guess I won't be worried about a blade for a while now. I can get by with this one for the time being. So while the saw is running, I actually did notice that there's a vibration in the saw itself. And I'm guessing probably it's coming from that lower band wheel, but I'm not sure about that. Now that the blade's under tension and everything, I went back and I put the indicator on that band wheel again, and here it's showing that it's out by a little bit over 20 thousandths under tension. So I'm not sure if that could be the problem or what. And it's actually, if you put the indicator on it the other way on the surface, it's actually out by I think 6 or 8 thousandths on the concentricity of the rubber. So there it is. Basically it looks like it's going to be a good saw once we get some of these bugs worked out of it. And like I said, hopefully Laguna support will kick in and do something for me. So just a matter of waiting to hear back from them, I guess, and then I'll get to put it through the test. And actually, there's that lever there again. I really like that lever, and I decided that probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a red flag on that thing, so when it's down and you walk over to the saw, you always remember to retension it. So this is, kind of the comparison between the old one and the new one here, and things always look smaller until you get them in your shop there, and I think it's going to be a real good saw once we get things all straightened out on it. The mobile base should be here on Thursday, so I'll do a follow-up on that and, see what happened. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.